Who am I?
So about international legend.
Royalty is in the neighborhood, man. Real African greatness.
Yep.
Niger power great.
First time I heard the name Afro beats, his name was attached to it.
And on the beat is
Davido, and Davido.
Your life is a movie.
This is crazy.
Davido! Is that you, blood? Davido, is that you?
You could have rejected the call.
Of course.
Life could have been very different.
Thank God I picked up.
There was something about music that he could not place a finger on. It pulls him in the opposite direction of the path that lies in front of him. The stage is already set for him. All he needed to do was to show up and play the role scripted for him by his wealthy father. Instead, he shows up on a different stage, his own stage, the stage of passion, a crime in the eyes of his father, who has designed a master plan for Davido and his siblings. As he has risen to become one of the most successful Nigerian pop stars, the question on the minds and lips of many is whether his victory in the music industry is as a result of his father's wealth or his individual talent. Davido was born David Adedeji Adeleke on the 21st of November 1992.
So you were born in the States.
I was born in Atlanta. Yeah.
Born in Atlanta, man.
I'm the last born of 5 kids. I was the only one that my parents wanted to live in Nigeria. So I stayed with my parents in Nigeria. My mom loved music. My mom, anything to throw a party, she would throw. A superwoman, my special woman. I think that's when like the music kind of snuck in with me, and then I started liking like entertainment.
Right.
Me and my cousins like would do like dance routine. I used to love Ja Rule. I went to a Christian school in Alabama. That's where I actually got the inspiration to like really start, because the dude on top of me, he was the head of the choir. So I'm always hearing music upstairs in my dorm. Boom, boom, boom. So one day I just went upstairs and knocked the door. I'm like, oh, what you doing? He was like, oh, he records music. So he showed me how to record. Wow. I was like, yo, how much is all this? He's like, $1,500. Bought the whole studio. Every night I'm on you, they throw away. Morning from Monday to Sunday. Morning from Monday to Sunday. In the studio, man, doing crazy stuff.
Through these initial investments in his music interest, he began to discover himself and his music. The plan was to do hip-hop like his favorite artists at the time, but
I cannot do R&B better than Chris Brown. Chris Brown cannot do Afro beats better than me.
No.
If I tell you, say I love you, oh. So it's something I always say. I want to do what I know how to do, what I was gifted to do.
For an African artist to try to make a record that people are already getting from rappers and all that type of shit, it's like, we want something that we can't get.
Yeah, you go there for me. You go there. When the boy they hunger.
Davido found his brand of music. But this wasn't the Adeleke family plan. The plan was that
you go to school. Right. After you go to school, you go work for Pops. You have your office there. You know, normal rich kid vibes. I told my dad, I was like, oh, Dad, I want to move back to Nigeria. I want to do music. He's like, no. So he sent me back to school.
And that was the priority.
Yeah. And then when I went back to school, I dropped out. So he called the school because he couldn't reach me. He called the school and like, oh, please, I'm looking for my son, David Adeleke. Sorry, sir, your son hasn't been in school for a year.
He owns a university and you didn't stay in school.
education did a lot for Davido's father. He was not willing to watch his youngest son stray away from the Adeleke family plan, a tried and tested plan that was sure to set Davido up for life. But David Adedeji Adeleke had a different plan, the Davido plan, a plan that pit him against his father.
Bro, I was like, I cannot go back home in disappointment. I can't. Before I see my daddy, before my daddy sees my face, I have to be a superstar.
Yeah, so I flew out to London, came here a year ago. This Elephants and Castle, that's why I recorded back home.
So after I was in London for a while, you know, I recorded a couple records. So I'm like, it was 3 records.
I just went back again to Nigeria and full tapped in.
Didn't want to leave.
Didn't want to leave ever.
As soon as I get off the plane, police got me. Boom. It took me straight to my father. So he was like, where have you been? Where have you been? I was like, I want to do music. I do not want to go to school. We kind of made a deal. He will invest in my music career. He will build me a world-class studio. I had like the best studio in Nigeria. Wow. So that's where the journey really started.
He worked hard on his music and released his debut single, Back When. He followed it up with another single. The upward progression of his music career gave him exposure and the realization that if he gave music his all, he could succeed and follow his own path. But the success of Daviduro created a dilemma for Davido.
I recorded it so nonchalantly, so I dropped it. I'm like, yo, Dad, I'm going back to school. I'm about to drop this record. Remember you said you gonna shoot the video for me? So he's like, yeah, I got you. So he pays for the video for me. You know what I'm saying? So I have the studio, I got my video. So I'm in school, and my boy called me. He said, now you went to club last night too, and they played Daviduro, everybody's going crazy. I said, eh? I said, my song is blown in Lagos. I just went upstairs. Pack your stuff. So I get to the city, and then we went out that night, and when they played that record, I just saw people jumping, singing. That was my first experience of fame.
Deal work out with the classroom?
My music was always good, you know what I'm saying? And he knew that. So the more I was going away for 2 weeks, doing the music, dropping videos, my music was getting bigger. Yeah. So it got to a point where I was a distraction to the class.
School has been kind of tough for me, man. Especially like people around taking pictures in class.
It became more difficult for him to keep his end of the deal he made with his father. The pull of music was stronger than the push of his father's wishes. It was impossible for him to balance his newfound success with school.
Yo, Davido told me a story. Dad, you shut down his concerts.
He got mad. I think he heard or he saw a billboard of me in the show. It's like, it's not David. His security told him like, boss man, your son has the hottest song in the club right now. He's like, what? He see a billboard of me doing a show. The show gets canceled before I even get there. I get booked for the show, bro. They arrest the fans that came to watch, me, my girlfriend at the time, my friends, the promoter. If you are with David, you go.
Damn.
The police phone starts ringing. It's my song. I said, it's me. He said, are you David? I said, it's me.
Yeah.
Set me free.
Though he's seen you like being unsuccessful on Billboard, it's like, no, I'm gonna shut that down. You made a deal.
Yeah, you made a deal. Police came like twice, and they started messing up my business because everybody was scared to book me. Because if you book Davido, there will be police at your show.
The rift between Davido and his father became so public that the then president of Nigeria got wind of it and put in a word for him.
So I was like, I got the president on my back now. Like, the police is sending to arrest me. We became fans. So they'll come and arrest me. They'll be like, Davido? No. So it got too big for him to control.
My whole family, my auntie to uncle, call him beg.
My dad, I don't care if you be as big as Joe Biden. If you don't have education, my daddy will not respect you.
So when did your dad give up?
I finished school. After that, he became so supportive. And now he's the biggest fan. I love you. Hey. My money, my body, now your own. Every album I drop, he's like, he has to hear, he picking songs.
Oh, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, no, take this song. Like, this is my last album I dropped. There's one song he wants and he needs so much. Like, I didn't really like the song, but like, no.
He said, leave it on?
He must put it on. So I'm like, yo, my dad calling me 3 times about a record on my album. I never thought this day would come.
That's dope.
Yeah.
But that is a love for what you do.
Before I even blew up, I used to always tell myself, I'm gonna be big. I'm gonna be huge, trust me. They're gonna love me all over the world. Every race is going to sing my music. That's what I was telling myself.